Today we're going to be talking about FTX, its collapse, and the consequences, and maybe some lessons that we take away from that story. So, to give some context, FTX was a crypto exchange run by a guy run by a guy named Sam Bankman-Fried, and it collapsed back in 2022. And I mean, it sort of went through a whole collapse from like 22 to 24 with trials and all that stuff. What happened was the sister company called, I think it was Alameda Research. They had a bunch of crypto, but all the crypto was actually just FTX coins, not other coins. So really, they weren't diversified at all, and it was all based on how much FTX was worth, not anything actually stable. So then this huge company called Binance, which was another exchange, pulled out all of their coins, and then everyone else did, and that's when it collapsed. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. What are your initial thoughts, Josh? What are you
My
thinking
initial
about
thoughts
that?
are I still don't understand what cryptocurrency is.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why the smart investors say only invest in what you actually understand, because so many people were so highly invested into crypto that it brought millions of dollars worth of losses to probably billions, honestly, around the world, to people who had no idea what crypto really was. They were just like, "Oh, cool, this is Bitcoin," or "Oh, cool, this is whatever other coin you want to invest in," and then it went down because of FTX.
I understand that some things require being described in terms of other things. Not to bring up Feynman twice, right before we got on this, we had a conversation real briefly and I brought up Richard Feynman. But to bring up Richard Feynman again, he mentioned explaining, I think it was the strong nuclear force in terms of strong nuclear force? I don't remember. In terms of rubber bands to children. And he was like, but it's really a cop out because that really means that we don't understand it perfectly if we have to describe one thing in terms of another thing constantly. That's how I feel about cryptocurrency. People can't actually describe it, they just describe it in terms of other things. Like, oh, well,
Mm.
it's a network, and it's cryptography, and you've got a key that's in your own name, and it's kind of like if you had gold, um, but like from a real technical aspect. Anyway, that was just my
Yeah,
initial thought on that.
I tried one time to figure out blockchain and stuff, and I could not. I was doing a lot of research trying to figure out how it works. It was past what I knew, and so I haven't invested in crypto. I mean, I'm pretty sure I put like $1 in Bitcoin, or maybe like 20 cents or something a long time ago, and I was like, oh man, my 20 cents went up to 22 cents. That's crazy. But nothing past
Yeah,
that.
big reveal. We both missed out on the cryptocurrency boom.
Yeah, my as they say, my worst investment was being five in 2009, or whatever. No, that's I've seen memes that say like my worst investment was being five whenever something crashes or whenever something just starts out. I guess that's true for crypto. No, I
Yep.
probably wouldn't have invested anyways, because I still haven't. I remember when we were working together, it was so funny because I would always come into your office and be like, "Yep, crypto's up to 100,000. Oh, yep, crypto's down to seven, or Bitcoin's down to 70,000. Oh, now it's back up to 120." It's just like up, down, up, down, up, down type of roller coaster. So, but
It's crazy. And pretty much I bring up that topic to say that it's not crazy that people would put any money in it because, like you're saying, I don't know, $100 in crypto. Us long shots. But the fact that you would pour all that money into this crypto exchange and all this crypto stuff. Who knows? Maybe they're all people that bought little portions of Bitcoin and held it for 10 years, and then that's how they got all this money, and then they put it all into FTX, and I don't know. But the whole meme
Yeah.
coin thing is just nuts.
The article that I sent you that we were reading from Investopedia, it said that some people literally lost their life savings and all of their
Mm.
investments, which means that they were, I mean, that sentence means that they were 100% invested into crypto for their life savings, which one, just general investing advice says diversify. So like don't put all of your money into one type of coin, you know? Um, but secondly, like you've been saying, if you don't understand it, maybe don't put everything in it. Like that doesn't, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, those are both sides of the two types of risk management that were violated. Um, like Warren Buffett talks about, or maybe Charlie Munger has a quote about, we basically do our due diligence so that we don't have to diversify, because your due diligence in finding the companies that are real stable and gonna last for a long time is your risk management when you're buying specific companies that are huge portions of your portfolio. Or you can diversify. Two ways of managing risk, but yeah, it sounds like neither of those were done in this case,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
So to talk more about specifically FTX and like what happened, uh, apparently the losses were about 11 billion. So when I said millions, that wasn't even close. It was about 11 billion dollars was lost just from FTX alone. One question I have and always have for every criminal case, because he was tried in court, is, I mean, I get maybe you think you have a chance of not pleading guilty. I mean, not losing the trial, but almost every time they plead not guilty. And it just, if you know that you did it, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be found out. But I guess for that 1%, I just think it's an interesting human psychology thing where we're always trying to protect ourselves, even if we very clearly did something wrong or incorrectly. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm just always interested by the fact that they always plead not guilty when then they get found out like 5 months later and go to jail for 25 years.
Yeah, I can't tell if, like in some cases, I feel like it's a little more obvious. In this case, like you did the thing, man. Maybe a plea deal wasn't offered, so it wasn't even worth pleading guilty. But or maybe they were holding out to see if there would be a plea deal. I don't know. But I think he got like 25 years, right? Is the actual sentence, which
Yeah.
is nuts. I mean, he did ruin people's lives, but man, 25 years to make some money is totally crazy.
Yeah. And I think not only did he not plead guilty on the initial charges, but then later it was like February there were some criminal charges brought up against him. He pleaded not guilty, and then it was May or something. And then he pleaded not guilty again.
Yeah, he
And
filed like an
I just
appeal or something.
I don't even know if it was an appeal necessarily. I think there was just more that they didn't know about that. Yeah, it says,
Mm.
oh no, okay, January 3rd, Bankman-Fried pleads not guilty to criminal charges. February 23rd, Bankman-Fried criminally charged with additional counts. And then March 30th, Bankman-Fried pleads not guilty to new criminal charges. I'm like, dude, you're they're finding out more and more and more, and you're just continuing to plead not guilty. It's whatever. I not me, I guess. If I was in the same situation, I'm not sure what I would do because we're all about self-preservation. So it's just
Do you think that
interesting.
he started by, because what it was, he was mixing the streams with his trading company and the exchange, right? So he was like backing the assets of the one with the other. Um,
Yeah, pretty much.
do you think he just started out doing that like, oh, well, I just need a little bit of assets to get, I don't know, line of credit or something. And it just like snowballed into craziness?
I don't know, because it could be t really one of two things. One is the what you're saying, where he just needed a small amount at the beginning and then it grew and grew and grew. Or he could have said, "Man, I think I can make a lot of money doing this. Let's try to let's try to back ourselves and see how much money we can make." And then, uh, but yeah, I don't know. If I had to guess, probably he started small. I mean, he seems like a smart guy who could really have made some money legitimately, and it just snowballed into fraud and criminal activity. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Yeah. My guess is like generally these things are, unless he's just actually a terrible human being, but even okay human beings can get incentivized to do dumb things when the incentive structure is there. I've got a pool of assets over here, and I've got another business over here that needs it or that it would help. So why don't I just throw some over there? It just usually doesn't scale to this size. It,
Yeah,
it just is so extreme.
yeah,
And then the catastrophic downturn of how it ended and ruining everybody's finances is pretty mind blowing. I also apparently just wasn't watching TV, so I didn't see any of the ads that played. Like, I guess there were maybe ads during Super Bowl and like ads on TV with celebrities talking about FTX.
yeah. I was actually gonna ask, well, I guess you didn't see me, but I was gonna talk about that a little bit. So there were some different celebrities who endorsed it, which I think brings up two things. One is if you're a celebrity and you endorse something, make sure that it's something that you actually want to put your brand and reputation behind, because apparently, um, Steph Curry, Shaquille O'Neal, Shohei Ohtani, uh, Naomi Osaka, Larry David, and Kevin O'Leary. Some of those are athletes, some of those are obviously businessmen, but they were brought into the lawsuit because they endorsed it. The second thing is, I don't know if any of those people were actually invested in FTX, but if they weren't, don't endorse something that you're not actually going to use yourself, because that just doesn't really make sense to me, you know? Like if you don't
Mm-mm.
use it, why are you endorsing it? Um, I guess it's just to make a little bit of money, but
Which is weird for those people because they already have a ton of money, but maybe it was a whole lot of money. I just,
yeah,
celebrity endorsements in general for me are like, really? I don't, I don't understand. Why would I care what these people think about something that's totally unrelated to their area of expertise? I don't.
yeah, yeah. I think that a lot, even as someone who really enjoys sports. But I was talking to someone, I don't know, about this the other day, and it was really about brand awareness. So not necessarily saying, "Oh, Tom Brady endorsed this because I like Tom Brady, I want to buy this product," but "Oh, Tom Brady endorses this thing. Now I think about it sometimes when I hear of Tom Brady, or this thing I think of Tom Brady," just like kind of connects the two. If you watch a lot of sports, for people who don't watch a lot of sports, then it's like, who's this random person endorsing this thing that I have no idea about? But which I can see that side of it because if you put it out enough times, then it starts, whether you want to or not, there's like a connection there. When you see one person, you might think of this product. So I don't know. I mean, that
Uh,
that would be what I would think.
I was listening to somebody talk about the odd thing about advertising is it can have the reverse effect, which is that if you associate two things with the goal of making money from them, it can produce the opposite effect. So if you had previously liked Tom Brady, but were absolutely against crypto, Tom Brady's endorsement of crypto would actually reduce his standing in your mind.
Yeah, I could see that. One I think of specifically is Danny DeVito, um, because he always promotes subs and people like subs, and so
Mm.
you know, uh, well, I mean, that's like kind of a neutral thing. There's not, I mean, there's people who probably
Those
don't.
sub haters.
Yeah, that's what most people are okay. It's like, oh, cool, subs, or I'm not really too into subs, but that just might be a Danny DeVito. But that would be
Yeah.
the main way that I could see celebrity endorsements working in a sense. But I don't know that I've ever actually bought something specifically because a celebrity endorsed it.
Yeah, and that's probably not how it works. You're probably right. It's like recognition, just getting the name out there and associating it with somebody famous.
Yeah.
But I it makes more sense to me when I don't know, somebody on the Patriots or whatever is talking about Under Armour. That association to me makes way more sense. I don't know that it really affects Under Armour so big. That's a bad example, but I don't know that it necessarily affects me buying it, but something outside of your zone of expertise, it doesn't do much for me. I'm going to trust the reviews on Amazon more than the person on TV.
Yeah. Did you?
Never ask
Well,
your
actually,
barber if you need a haircut.
true that. Speaking of Steph and Under Armour, this is totally unrelated, but did you know that, I mean, they've had a long-standing relationship with like a Steph Curry athletic line, and they recently just parted ways, which is very interesting because he was one of the leaders of the Under Armour brand because he was one of the biggest athletes on their brand. So it was just kind of crazy that they ended up parting ways. I don't really know much about it. I just heard that, and so that was interesting, but totally unrelated.
Remind me who
Yeah,
Steph Curry is.
he is a basketball player for the Golden State Warriors, and he is the best three-point shooter of all time.
Oh, huh,
Yeah, so he's pretty good.
nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways,
he'll have to find somebody else to endorse.
did you know that Sam Bankman-Fried put there was a $250 million bond put on his release, and that's the biggest bond in U.S. history, which is
That's
wild.
nuts.
Yeah.
And he probably had money to pay it too.
Well, except for the fact that the Bahamas took all FTX's money, and it's probably all his own money was in there.
Well, whatever money is left. Was it in the article or was it someplace else? No, I think I looked it up because I was curious if the FTX entity still exists, and apparently it's all of its assets, what are left of them, are in a state for distribution to the shareholders or token holders or whatever they are. So, uh, I was thinking it got backed by the U.S. government completely, but just the little blurb I saw said that people were going to get paid out fractionally and would not be paid out what they had. So I guess the U.S. government isn't totally insuring deposits.
Well, I mean,
Um,
it is crypto. It's supposed to be decentralized, so I can
yeah,
kind of see that.
but I'd be curious to go look up like how much are they actually? Is it like bank the $200,000 or some other amount,
What
which
I
is
think
kind
is
of a
really
weird thing for
funny
people to do.
is looking back on this whole FTX saga because in the article it talked about Binance being willing to back FTX. And so Binance was going to buy the non-US businesses of FTX and then one day later backed out of the deal because of due diligence revealing concerns. And so I think it's funny to look at now, knowing the whole story, because back then you're like, oh, Binance is willing to back them. That's cool. And then they do their due diligence. And then we find out that FTX was entirely fraudulent. And so it's just now when you look at it, you're like, why would Binance ever want to back them? But they didn't have the full story at that point. And then a day later, they had the full story and they backed out. So I just thought that was really interesting and kind of
Yeah,
ironic.
it made me think. I wonder how much information they actually obtained. Like if they knew the full extent of, oh man, this is a Ponzi scheme, or if they just had partial information and found out, yeah, this is underfunded. It, the the assets aren't as solid as we once thought it was. Because I would think,
Yeah.
well, no, I guess it was a pretty fast drop after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, I mean, he was in, he was indicted on criminal charges not too long after they backed out of that deal, which means they were finding stuff out pretty quickly.
Yeah. It just, I never want to be in that asset. I,
What'd you
I
say?
want to be in assets that as they drop, I get more and more excited. That's the kind of thing I want to purchase. But the problem with crypto is I don't even know what the heck it is. And all these people that I'm like, man, I don't even know that you know how taxes work. And you're trying to explain to me how crypto works. I don't think you know how crypto works. So it, that's not an asset class that I can feel confident like price is going down. It's just cheaper. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I think well, I know that FTX's collapse actually led to a bunch of downsizing and just like lowering of value for a lot of, if not all, the other cryptocurrencies. Well, I guess not other cryptocurrencies because FTX was just a fraudulent cryptocurrency, but all of the actual cryptocurrencies that people are invested in. I know crypto.com is pretty big. They're also an exchange. And well, they actually, I think it was the Los Angeles Lakers and LA Clippers stadium. It's actually called crypto.com arena or crypto arena. I think it's crypto.com arena, which means they're big enough to at least buy a whole arena. But it says they downsized due to tons of customers withdrawing, which I think just goes to a broader uh, human action where even back in like the 2008 crisis and even further back in the Great Depression and all that stuff, we don't really have that much faith. As humans, we're very wishy-washy. And when something's going up, we're trying to get all of our money into it. And then as soon as something's going down, we have no faith in that anymore. And we just try to pull all of our money out. And then everyone tries to do that. And it becomes a huge run, whether it's on the bank, on crypto, on
Mm-hmm.
uh, real estate, whatever. And then things go crashing down. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think it reveals a broader narrative for all assets that as soon as which I think I talked about this a little earlier in another podcast, but I kind of think that might happen with all this AI tech stock, with all these prices right now, plus just
I
AI in
welcome
general.
it. I will
Yeah,
buy things
I
at a
mean,
discount.
if it goes down, you buy, buy low, sell high. But AI is, I think if there's a huge scandal, which I mean, there's bound to be a huge scandal. There's already been some scandals, but like a global type of scandal with AI, people are going to get so scared. And then it's going to take a while for people to regain trust again. So I'm kind of just waiting for that to happen, to be honest. I think that that is going to happen, and we'll see how that affects all of the companies, software platforms that are using and implementing AI and how they get wrecked because of that. And I wonder who the
Caleb's
scandal's going to
2026 prediction: AI collapse.
fight. Yeah,
What
I guess so.
in your mind? What does that look like? Well, what would a catastrophic AI failure for a company be?
Well, the thing that I could probably see most is the fact that OpenAI, NVIDIA, uh, I don't know about Anthropic, but a bunch of these, Google, Microsoft, they're all investing into each other and not necessarily new money coming from customers. And so like, I don't even know what OpenAI's market cap is right now, or valuation, I guess, but it's probably close to $1 trillion if it's not there yet. And OpenAI is not even profitable. So that is a huge red flag because I mean, yeah, they're growing super fast, but most of their money is coming from other companies, not actually from the customers buying their product. And Sam Altman even said himself, we need to be profitable. Like we need to figure out ways to become more profitable because they have to compete with all these other companies that are beginning to be even slightly profitable. And I'm not saying OpenAI is going to be the ones that go through the huge scandal, but I think there's going to be an AI platform that is massive that just gets basically wiped out because of the lack of, I guess, one, transparency, but two, actual uh, profitability. Because if you're not, I mean, you can get people to continue investing, but at some point, I would think that investments are going to run out because people have invested so much of their money in you and you're still not profitable. So unless the big AI platforms can invest or can turn around and become profitable, I think there's going to be a big platform that uh, goes down. And that's so if OpenAI were to go down, it has 800 million monthly users. That's going to be a ton of people who are, I don't even know what the reaction would be. I just know that people would probably stop using AI for a while because ChatGPT is literally the biggest, probably most used model out there. So I don't know if that kind of explains what I think is going to happen, but yeah, I think a big platform is going to go down at some point. What do you
Uh,
think?
yeah, I think it would have to go down in a spectacularly large ball of flames. Like, it's not only that, it's like the AI fundamentally did something that violated, I don't know, and emptied people's bank accounts or something on a massive scale. Like some credit card processor works AI into their system somewhere and then blows up several 100,000 people's credit card accounts or some nutso thing. And then people are going to put the brakes on it. That's my guess.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, we talked recently about Anthropic's cyber attack that happened from China. Also, did you know that Chinese scientists or whoever are helping to build DeepSeek imported thousands of banned NVIDIA chips to keep working and building a new DeepSeek model, which is not surprising. And
That
that
doesn't surprise me at all.
is
They
a
also
little bit
threatened
scary.
Japan with nuclear warfare. So
Yeah, there's a lot that
that's
could happen. I think the important thing is, for me at least, using AI to the best of its ability right now, but always being careful Because I don't put my credit card info in there. I don't put my
Oh, I'm not
personal
supposed to do
information.
that?
No, Josh, you're not supposed to do that.
Oh,
Um,
shoot.
but I think that's really to keep myself from, if things were to go down and an AI platform was to get hacked in a massive fashion, most of my, I mean, they could get my email, which I guess they could send me some spam, and then I just got to be careful with spam. But most of my information is not on there. So yeah, keep yourself safe. Anyone who's listening, do not put personal information into AI because you don't want anything to happen to it. So yeah, that's my thoughts. You got anything else?
Buy crypto in manageable amounts.
Or don't buy it if you don't understand it.
Or do that.
You got anything else, Josh?
Send us email at jc.unscripted@gmail.com.
Yep. Please like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy the content. Give us a comment if you have something you want us to talk about. And on Spotify, give us a 5-star review if you liked it. If you didn't, don't do anything. That's the pod.